Welcome, adventurers! I'm Heather Martinson, founder of Celebration Education, where we provide adventure which inspires creativity and leads to possibility. I'm literally standing outside my learning center in Yucaipa this morning because I forgot that I don't have my key. I gave it to someone else because I am on my way out of town as we speak. I actually have you sitting on the trunk of my car and we're ready to go. Guess where we're going? We're headed up to Sacramento. We're going to be protesting the anti-homeschool bill, and as I hope all of you have been as well. If you haven't, it's not too late for you to make your phone calls. Call each member of the education committee and tell them you oppose the anti-homeschool bill. I don't remember the number offhand right now, but be part of this. Even if you can't make it up to Sacramento, thousands of us are going to be there, and so it'd be awesome if you could just jump in your car and go as well. Anyway, I'm still going to be talking about what we're doing this week, the fireworks you can do at home, and I'm going to issue to you a Call to Adventure challenge. So our topic in class this week is cartography. So the students, first they started off by making compass roses of their own. And then for our key points this week, they're talking about different types of maps they can use, and they played a game to experience the different types of maps. Then they went on a global scavenger hunt looking for a variety of different types of land formations. And then for our writing activity, they got to make mind maps about themselves. And then the math activity was finding places on the map using latitude and longitude to find places on the map. And then the students wrote, each of them got to write their own genius principle or purpose statement for the genius principle. And then they went on a treasure hunt. They got to use a map to find a place, and then after that they got to each make their own maps to have their friends, they would hide something and then they'd make a map for their friends to find. So they did a little map making, each of them. And then for our movement activity, we had the continents spread out on the floor, and the teacher would call out a continent for the students to run to. So that was a lot of fun. We actually have a Disneyland meetup tomorrow, even though I have not yet made the meetup on our Facebook, our Disney Schooling Facebook group, nor have I made the lesson. I plan on working on the road, so watch for that. The meetup will be tomorrow. I just don't have the lesson plans ready for it yet. So I have the Minecraft class, and I'm so behind in everything. This is what going on a trip does to you, right? So I have not actually written the script for our Minecraft class this coming Friday, but it will be on cartography as well. We're going to be doing some experiences with maps, so it should be fun as usual. Look forward to that. But the creativity you can do this week with your kids at home: have your children write directions to a place in town. If they were to leave their home and walk, say, to the nearest store, to a gas station, to the library, how would they get there? Have your child write it down or draw a map about it, and perhaps help them figure out how to include the approximate distance from one place to another. Is it a mile? Is it a mile and a half? It could be fairly complex math trying to figure this out, at least for these kids. Then another idea is to make a map of a fictitious place, and on it include a lot of different land formations, like a river and a mountain and a gorge and an isthmus, these types of things, peninsula, so that your children can become familiar with those types of land formations. And then you have your children put a compass rose on their map and top it off with the name of your cartography company and put that logo on the map as well. So I think that'd be a lot of fun. Sorry, the sun is like right in my face. One more idea is to make 3 different maps of the same land. So because in class we're talking about different types of maps. So perhaps your child can make a map of their favorite place, make it a relief map that was actually 3D, or make it a road map, make it a political map, make it what are those called that hikers use that show, an elevation map. Lots of different types of maps. Have them make it and say three different maps of the same exact place. I think that would be interesting. All right, so upcoming events, of course, tomorrow we're going to be fighting against the anti-homeschool bills. We're canceling the weekly teen hangout in Santa Ana tomorrow because we're not going to be there. And there is the Disneyland meetup tomorrow. All right, so our philosophy or practice for this week, we're talking about knowing how to read versus being a reader. So one time I stayed at this home where there's a couple teen girls lived, and the education was very important. They're not homeschooled, but they were in a traditional school setting, and the parents made it a point to make sure that the girls got good grades and that they're on track to go to a good college and all these sort of things. But what I found was they were not actually readers. They got good grades and they were involved in a lot of things, but there were no books in the house. Actually, I discovered one bookshelf in the house, in a basement, in a closet. Obviously, the reading is not valued in this home. It's hard to even find the books in this home. So reading was not something that they do. But for homeschoolers, regardless of whether or not you know how to read, a lot of times we don't consider our children to even be readers until they're picking up books and reading them on their own. And that's how you know that they are readers. Some children start reading early, some start late, and that's okay, because better than knowing just how to read is being a reader, being in the habit of reading and enjoying reading. So reading is the most important academic skill, because once you are a reader, you can teach yourself anything, and kids love to teach themselves things. So we don't want to put limits on our kids. We want to help them and make sure that they are good readers. So if your child is not yet a reader, there are some things that you can do to help them become a reader. Number one is you need to read. You need to set the example and be a reader. The reader that you want them to be, you need to be that reader. So if you need to be reading books, picking them up and looking at them and reading them and sharing with your family the things that you read, what's exciting, what's stupid, what you liked or didn't like about a book, talk about it and let your children see you read. So another thing is, be sure to go to the library a lot. Take your children to the library. I don't know a child that doesn't like the library. Some of the kids, they go for the stupid computers and the games on the computers. Try to avoid that, because once they discover the books and the many amazing books at the library, they're going to want to go back again and again and get more books. You're going to max out your library card. You're going to pay a fortune in overdue fees, because I know I've done that. But it's a lot of fun when your children are absorbing books. It's exciting. So be sure to pick up lots of books that they have interest in. They may not even be books that they would choose on their own, but if you know your child, you're going to pick up some books for them as well. Of course, you have to use your card and your child's card to get enough books for them. So and then bring those home. Your child will probably end up picking them up and looking at them and reading them. But be sure you have lots of books around, and this may mean that you're picking up books at book sales, like at the library, or online. If it's books that your child particularly wants, you're going to pick some books up on Amazon or something for real cheap. But don't be afraid to have tons of books around the house. Bookcases in your living room, your family room, your dining room, your bedrooms. Okay, so yes, we have at some point had bookcases in all of these locations in our home. And we're paring down now, because we're down to our last child. He's 16 and we don't need thousands of books anymore. Okay, so also you're going to be reading to your child every day, from the time they're itty bitty until they're literally pushing you off and saying, okay, I'm done listening to you. And for me, for us, that was usually preteens, teens. I was reading them to them. So even after they are readers, you're able to read things above their reading level, and so they can still hear and understand the words and the meanings behind the books that you're reading. And also, it's a great experience to be reading together as a family. For us, it was bedtime. We had our bedtime routine, and we would we would brush your teeth and get your PJs and get the book, and it's a real good experience to share with your children. Actually, we stopped reading because when they get teens, they get busy and they're off all kinds of places, and it's not as easy to be reading every night. Anyway, then also you need to make sure that you let your children read, because I like to brag that I didn't teach any of my kids how to read, because given the right environment and on all the right tools, they're going to learn to read. If you are immersing them in the printed language, whether you like it or not, they're going to learn to read, just like how they learn to talk. Talk is a verbal language, and books is a printed language. It's our language in print. It's just as easy to learn. It's just they don't get enough exposure to it. That's why we're having all these different types of reading. So they're going to learn, given all these opportunities, they're going to learn within their the way they learn best. They're going to teach themselves, and they're going to learn to read quite well. Even though I didn't even teach my children to read, my one son who's dyslexic, I found him reading Steinbeck. So it's not something you have to make them do. It's something they get to do, something that they enjoy doing, because reading is fabulous. Not only do they get to go on many adventures, but they get to learn things. One of my sons, his favorite book for a year or two was a book on bodies and just all the grotesque stuff inside bodies, and he really enjoyed that. My children, they learn to read as early as 4 years old and as late as 10 years old. And I don't mean knowing how to read, actually. I mean becoming readers, where they pick up a book and can read it. Because, of course, even the one that waited till he was 10, he knew how to read. He knew how to do that. But he wasn't ready. It was just something that he was waiting to read. But by the time he did start reading, he became a crazy avid reader, and he's read more than all of my other kids by now, because he's just been really, really enjoying reading. But and one time also, I had a friend of mine that I ran into after a long time, and we were getting caught up, and she told me about how her one daughter, she was 15 at the time I ran into her, how she finally started to read or be a reader at age 14. Now, this is a mom who's very conscientious, and she did all of the things I talked about. She had books on hand. She read to her daughter. She did all of these things that you're supposed to do, but her daughter still was not reading until she turned 14. But yet, then I was talking to her a year after her daughter started reading, and she had already read, by 1 year later, she had already read more books than most kids read their whole entire school career through 6th grade. So, it might have been worrisome, and she might have fretted about her daughter not reading, but yet it doesn't hurt anything that she got started late, because by then she had read tons, and she was doing just fine. So I know it's difficult sometimes to let your children start later, but that's okay. You know your children. You know when they know how to read and when they don't. You know that you can let them wait to become readers, and you can trust that they will become readers. I having been in the homeschool community for 25 years or more, I have not just my own son who waited till 10, or my friends who waited till 14. I have many stories of friends whose children waited even into their teen years. 10 is not uncommon, but teen years is far less common, but it happens sometimes. But yet, a lot of times those teens who start reading they become readers as teens. They start on college material because they were just plain waiting for something that was interesting enough. Maybe they're just such geeks that they need the difficult stuff to learn to read. So don't worry, and your kids will be fine. And so I encourage you to help your children not just learn how to read, but to become true readers, that they will enjoy the journey and love reading, and that they and you will be readers as on a regular basis. So, and let me know your thoughts. Let me know your successes, your struggles, your pains, and share that with us, and we can talk about it here as well. Keep up the good work. I know you're doing great. Next week, we're going to be, our classes topic next week is city planning and waterways, and our call to adventure is going to be, the challenge is going to be about outcome assessments, testing. What do you know, not that you need to test, but what are the best outcome assessments to for your children? So to visit celebrationeducation.com to learn more about what we do and to register for our adventures. That's it for this week's Call to Adventure. Join me again next Tuesday at 6:45 a.m. I hope I have some good news about this anti-homeschool bill. I'm Heather Martinson at Celebration Education, where we've been learning outside the box since 2006. I'll see you next time. Bye.